To start off with, I'm David Norris. I am an entrepreneur. I am a founder and investor, and I'm in the Bay Area. So, hi from Palo Alto, California. I want to talk today about landing your first job in the new AI era and what companies are looking for when they talk to students that are graduating and really what they're trying to find and how you can stand out as you go talk to these companies. Little background on myself. So I went to UTD. I graduated out of the computer science department, and I grew up in Dallas, so I have a long history around UTD. I am an entrepreneur. So while I was at UTD, I was building my first startup, and I have since built quite a few companies over the years. You can look me up on LinkedIn. And I have a group that I'm also part of, which is Boardroom Venture Partners, which is a venture group. So I look at and I work with and advise all kinds of companies that are looking to grow and to accelerate their scaling. I'm in the Bay Area, so I'm right in the middle of all things AI right now. So it's a very exciting time. I have founded 8 companies myself. 4 of those were AI-based companies. I spent 3 years with Andrew Ng at AI Fund building a whole set of companies. We built about 45 companies with the first fund there. And I am very deep on the AI side. And I think a lot of people probably say that. I'm actually involved in a frontier model company right now. So we're actually building a foundational AI company. So we're a little deeper than most down at the transformer architecture level. So very active in helping companies, looking at companies. And as such, I work with a lot of companies that are looking for talent. And so, what I am here to do today is to offer my point of view on what employers are looking for and some things that you might do to stand out from the crowd and help you get a job. So that's the purpose for today. To start off with, I'd say the landscape has changed very significantly over the last few years. And you probably know some of this, and obviously everybody's using AI today, but I would say that the rules have really changed in terms of what employers are looking for. Most employers are considering that anytime they have a person that's coming in on the engineering side, let's say a software development person, that the output now should be significantly higher than ever before. Employers are not just looking for people that want to come in and code Python, but rather they're looking for engineers that have a capability to multiply their output by leveraging AI. And I think through this whole set of changes that's occurred, really the baseline for what productivity looks like has changed. And today there's really no question about whether or not you use AI. That is a given. The big question that employers are asking is how well you do it, and can you do it in a way that really adds a differentiated level of value to their company. If you look at how philosophically that turns out to look from an employer side, most employers are looking for people that don't just want to write code or be a software developer, software engineer, but rather they want to think of people as being able to orchestrate or conduct a set of AI agents that can do a set of things. So rather than being one person that's doing a job, think of yourself as having your own team of 5 agents, and together you can do a job much, much faster than any one by itself. I think that kind of idea is now becoming mainstream and is kind of expected by employers. So the idea of using agents for things like planning, for software lifecycle development, automation, testing, deployment, and so on is just kind of a given. So it's no different than, 10 or 15 years ago, people were expected to understand certain tools, whether it was, G Suite or Microsoft Word or things like that. Now people are just expected to understand the full life cycle of software and how agents can be used to make that faster, better, cheaper. So your job is really to direct or conduct a set of agents to do the work, not just write it yourself. And for those of you that are using different tools, obviously things like Claude Code are pretty much a standard now. Most people in the software world are using Claude Code day in and day out all the time and are beginning to use Cowork, which is in Claude, to do agent-oriented work for them. So using Claude Code and Cowork is very, very common now for that to be a combination that software developers are definitely using on a day-to-day basis. Um, Obviously, there's a lot here, and we're not going to go through all of it today, but I would say that if you go out and you watch YouTube videos on the latest in how to make yourself as productive as possible, you'll see an enormous amount of content in much of that can be helpful in understanding how you as a software engineer can be more effective, have more throughput, produce better code. And employers are really looking for that when they talk to a candidate. So if you don't already use all of these tools, I would encourage you to start learning and experimenting and using them as quickly as you can because you want to have internalized them so that when you go to an employer and you're interviewing with them and they ask you about these tools, you'll be able to speak from experience, not just from reading about it. And that is a big difference. So I would say that's really, really top of the list. This is an area working as part of a team as an employer. I interview a lot of people and I interview a lot of students for internships and for jobs. And one of the things that I have noticed is that some students are very good at individual tasks and working by themselves to do things, but sometimes they are not as experienced in working with a team of people. And so most employers expect that when they hire somebody coming out of school, that they'll be able to plug into a team and work as part of a bigger effort. And if you don't have that experience, which many people don't when they're coming out of school, it is really important to the degree possible, make yourself prepared for what that involves. Many times this means things like contributing to a shared code base. So if you've worked on a lot of projects by yourself and let's say you have a GitHub account and you're just pushing stuff into a GitHub account by yourself, that can be very different than working as part of a team and doing pull requests and being able to discuss your code in the context of a bigger project. So I think, communicating is really important as part of this because when you're in a team, you're interacting with a lot of other people. And again, as somebody coming out of school, you may or may not have had that experience of working as a team in an effort that is as large as some of these employers will have. I think getting feedback and giving feedback is one important part of this. And again, on GitHub, if you're a software developer, GitHub is a place that most employers would go to look at your profile, look at the kind of work you've been involved in. And that's a great place for you to highlight things that you've done that are part of a team effort. This is a pretty interesting topic. So communicating verbally is something that I have noticed a lot of students do a lot of texting, emailing, Slack, and writing things. But when it comes to communicating in an interview setting or with a team, you may or may not have had that experience. And you may not have had a lot of experience in communicating with team members. So I really suggest that as part of preparing for interviews, that you spend time speaking out loud. And one way to do that is to use AI as your sparring partner. If you haven't used an LLM through the voice interface, I highly recommend that you start communicating with your ChatGPT or Claude using the voice interface to practice doing the verbal communication that so many people are doing less of today. It is critical when you get into interviews with companies that are looking for team members. They don't just want somebody that can type or text. They want somebody that can communicate. And really articulate ideas very clearly, the more effectively you can communicate, the more likely you'll get a job offer. And I think this is something that goes unnoticed by a lot of students, and they get surprised when they get into interviews and it is uncomfortable. You can use AI to practice interviewing. And I think, certainly if you're not using AI to practice interviewing today, then you're behind. I would not go into the first interview with a company like a Cisco or an Apple without having practiced a lot. And that practice will give you the confidence that employers can see. When a person comes in and they're in an interview, if they're confident and they have that feeling of confidence, it comes across immediately in the interview. If you're concerned and maybe a little worried, it sometimes can show. So by doing practicing, you can build your confidence that you can handle those questions they might ask and that you can articulate them in a very effective way. Again, practicing with an LLM is free and there's no reason in the world not to do it. And it can often help you by giving tricky questions that you may or may not have heard before and help you in practicing how to best address those questions. So again, you've got an amazing tool in front of you. I would highly encourage you to practice a lot with the LLMs before going into an interview with an employer. There's also behavioral things that are important. If you're doing interviews with a potential employer on Zoom, there's certain things that you can do to make the experience better. For example, looking at the people directly, making sure that you have a clean background in the Zoom. When you're in Zoom and people have a distracting background, it's terrible. Making sure you have a good connection so that you're not cutting in and out. Those kind of things are also part of the practice. So you should practice the thing that you expect to do with the employer. That means in-person interviews and Zoom interviews. Again, you just have to practice to be able to perfect how you do it. And by the way, as we're going through this, feel free to post questions in the chat. You can post questions and I can answer them along the way. We'll have a Q&A at the end, but don't hesitate. Let's talk about LinkedIn. So as an employer, anytime I get anything from a person, I go to LinkedIn first. I go look at their LinkedIn profile to learn about them as a person, to understand who are they connected to that I might know, what have they done, and how do they represent themselves. And it may seem odd that, if I'm hiring a software engineer, I care about how they represent themselves. I care about how they describe themselves. Obviously, if somebody's got a bunch of spelling mistakes in their LinkedIn profile, I will notice that. But also, if they don't address things that are obvious, I will also notice that. So my feeling, and this goes for recruiters or any of the people on the employer side, they will all look at your LinkedIn profile. Make sure that it represents you as effectively as it can. And that means having a professional photo. That doesn't mean go hire a professional photographer. Just go create a professional image. You can do it using an LLM. You can use it by just taking a nice photo and blurring out the background. But the last thing you should do is have a bad photo on your LinkedIn. Also, your background. If you have a background and it looks like a high school kid, that's how they're going to think of you. So don't make it look like you're a high school kid when you're going in to talk to an employer. You want it to be very professional. Make sure you've documented all the projects and experience you've done that is relevant. And to the degree you can, build a credible network. So you want to connect with people that would, by association, bring some credibility. So if you are connected with somebody that I might know, well, immediately my ears perk up and I'm like, oh, well, this is interesting. They're connected to somebody I know. If you're not connected to anybody I know, generally I won't hire you. If it's somebody in the industry and they apply to a job and I look at their profile, my network is so large that if I'm not connected to them, I probably don't want to hire them. For you as a student graduating, you may not have that large network yet, but you can begin building it. And that means reaching out to people that would bring credibility to you. And it's basically free. So why not? And by doing that, you just get a little bit of improvement. It's a little bit here, a little bit there, and it all adds up. GitHub, for people in the software world, GitHub is very important. Technical hiring managers will definitely go to your GitHub profile and will look at it. And you want to make sure that your profile, just like LinkedIn, is as good as you can make it. You want to make sure that you're highlighting projects that are good and that you're proud of, and that they are done in a way that a professional organization would expect. So obviously things like README files should be very clear, very well laid out. If your code isn't, uh, in my recommendations is to address formatting of your code into some type of standard. There are quite a few coding standards out there. I would adopt one of the standard ones. There's quite a few, depending on the language you program in, and I would implement a formatting of all of your code into some code standards so that it looks extremely professional, well done, and again, is representative of the kind of person that an employer would want to hire. So this is where you're really showing what you can do rather than telling. And it's extremely important that you do everything you can do to make it a really positive experience. So a lot of people, I've been talking to a bunch of UTD students over the last 6 months, and quite a few of them have expressed that their focus has really been going to the local job fair, the career fair, and reaching out to employers. But a lot of it's been Dallas centric. And I would encourage you right now, it's really important to get a job if you're graduating soon. And even if you're not, if you're thinking in the future, uh, when you would like to graduate, it would be great for you to begin building relationships with those employers that you might get a job at some point. Think outside of Dallas. Think about the US. Think about the places where employers might be very actively hiring. And I would reach out to those employers and really try to establish a relationship. It's better to do that in advance, if you can, of when you need a job, because you can begin to build a relationship. You might even be able to get an internship on the way. uh, the Bay Area obviously is the center of the universe right now for AI. So a lot of companies out here are hiring. So when you have the opportunity to connect with those employers or apply for a job or apply for an internship, think about the zip codes that are most interesting to you. And it doesn't have to be just in one area. There's a lot of remote roles also where you could be employed by a company that's based somewhere else, but you could still work in Dallas. And that happens a lot. You would, of course, have to go there to interview probably, but being able to have remote first roles allows you to expand the geography of the kinds of employers you're going out to, which I think would be super, super valuable. Um, Maybe we can ask a few poll questions here. And Lacey, I know I was going to do that earlier, but I think this would be a good time to pose one of the first questions if you think you could do that.
Yes, great. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And we have an awesome Kahoot. You guys most of the students are a little familiar with this. You can either scan this QR code, or you can go to kahoot.it, click on this link, and then you'll enter the game pin. As you guys are entering, you can name your image. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to get in. Love it. I'm in. Anthony. Awesome. Oh, cute. Tran. Hey, Tran, how are you? Okay, come on in. There's about 30 people in the room, so we'll just give it a couple more minutes if you don't get in time. Hey, Kevin. Hey, Chris.
There's going to be a prize at the end, by the way, so you're not doing this for nothing.
Yes. All right. So you click the link, you enter the game pin, you create your avatar. Vita, hi. You guys are still coming in. There's two main questions. And then also while we're waiting to do that, I believe David is going to want to see some of your video because we're going to raise some hands in a second. So if you can show your video, please do. If not,
Yeah,
you can
yeah, as
also
long as you're
use,
dressed. If you're not dressed,
yeah.
don't do it. But if you're fully dressed, turn your video on and say hi. I'm staring at a bunch of like icons now, so definitely.
If you can't for some reason, you're driving for sure, obviously don't do that. You probably shouldn't even be on the phone. Hey, Anthony. Um, yeah, you can also use the raise your hand emoji when we get to it. So, all right, I think we're good to go ahead and get started. I'll also put the pin in here. 208. So if there's someone that wants to join, still click the link and enter your pin. I think you can join. Hey, 42. All right. We're going to go ahead and start. First question, and it's not a rush or anything. Um, David's wanting to just gauge the students here. It's going to be a word cloud. So fear or concern about finding a job in today's job market. So just put a word or two about a fear or concern that you have in finding a job in today's market.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can
What's your
just,
biggest concern about finding a job? I want to hear from you and what you're thinking.
yeah.
And you've got 10 seconds left, or else.
We've got only 3 answers. Come on, guys.
Type fast.
We got 4 answers. Okay. Sponsorship, not good enough. Stability, more competitive. Okay, these are good.
Yeah, sponsorship. That's a good one. Interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
And let's do the geography one.
Okay. Next question. We'll do the geography at the end if
Oh,
that's
okay.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What are your largest challenges in the job market? You can select more than one also. So the first one is resume building, getting responses from companies, interviewing process, or getting past the immigration barriers. And you can click more than one if you need, but really anything that you find is just a huge challenge in your area. Oh, great. Okay, so the top two are getting responses from companies is number one, 59%, and then getting past the immigration barrier is 53%. So that's a huge concern. And then third is interviewing process, and then a little bit after that is resume building. So definitely getting past the companies are the biggest one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm going to stop sharing. And then our last question, if you can raise your hand. Oh, David, how did you want to do this? Did you want to
Yeah,
start in the
yeah,
DFW area?
yeah. I'll ask the question, and what I'm interested in is understanding kind of what areas you're looking today. So, um, the problem is I need everybody's video on because I can't see your hands without your video. So, do we have, can everybody turn their video on, or is everybody driving? If you're driving, then it would be a bad idea. Okay, maybe throw it in the chat if you want. Just throw out what what areas are you looking for a job? And I'll give you three choices. Are you looking in the Dallas area? Are you looking in the Texas area? Are you looking nationally? So just throw in the chat, where are you focusing most of your effort on finding a job? Just so I can understand if there's a particular preference. Okay, I'm getting nationally, a lot of nationally. Okay. And Dallas, okay.
Two Dallas so far, two Dallas, one Fort Worth, big
Hmm.
cities.
Yeah,
So major
yeah,
metroplexes, yeah.
got it.
Oh,
Okay.
Amitish said Bay Area, so he's smart, or she.
Well, that's great. That's great. Okay. Well, that actually is quite helpful. I'm trying to get a sense for how UTD can best help you. And I would love maybe a couple of more comments in here based on what you're looking for. Um, what do you think UTD could do best to help in getting you the opportunities that you're looking for? Is there any things that you would like to see that maybe aren't currently happening that we could do to help? Again, just throw out uh, ideas. I'm not going to give you hints because I don't want to taint your
Yeah.
ideas. So
Any
any
ideas
things, any ideas of things that you would like to see that we're not currently doing that would be helpful?
other than just like handing you a job?
Yeah, just hire you.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay, so not getting, let's see,
Tours to
tour.
companies. That's great.
Okay. And I'll let if you think of ideas there, feel free to put them in. I'm going to go ahead and continue talking, and then we can come back to that one.
More connection events like this. The Career Center is doing an awesome job. Thanks, Young Ming. Thank you.
Okay, great. Uh, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go. I mean, again, on the geography, I saw a lot of nationals out there, so it's good. I'm glad that you're looking outside of just Dallas. So to summarize, these are some of the points that I think would be useful. I'm going to throw out a few other ideas, and then again, would love to do a Q&A and have you ask me questions. I'm an example employer. I'm, building out an engineering team, so I'm hiring people, but I also am pretty connected to a lot of companies, so I might be able to help in a lot of ways. So one of the things that you're getting as a prize for being here is we're going to have a virtual career fair in 2 weeks, and I'm out recruiting companies to come that are companies that are looking to hire people, and I'm asking them to come in and be part of our career fair. So you, by being here today, will be at the front of the line to participate in that career fair. So you're going to get invites before everybody else. So congratulations on that. That's one way we can help, and that kind of goes along with the suggestion about, tours to companies. So this is a virtual way to bring companies that are not in the Dallas area to you so you can actually meet them and get to know them and hopefully begin to build a connection. So that's one way. Another is I will offer that if you will send me an invite on LinkedIn, I'll connect with you. And I have a pretty good sized network right now. I've got about 15,000 connections. So if you want to invite me, just in the comment, if you would, when you send the invite, just put a secret word so that I know it's somebody from this rather than somebody that wasn't at this. So just put the word like webinar, something like that. So I'll know it came from this. I get a lot of invites every day and I just delete most of them. So I will accept yours. So that's another way I can help. And to the degree that I can be helpful, I will attempt to. I can't help everybody, but I will do what I can do. In getting this career fair organized, what we're trying to do there is bring employers that have a need to expose them to you and to make some awareness around the fact that UTD has great talent and that they should be looking at that. So I'm bringing some Bay Area companies to that, and we'll let you know the details of that here in the next week or so. Okay, so I'm going to open it up. You can ask me anything you want, and I will try my best to answer it. So feel free to. Oh, how can you find me? Let me put my LinkedIn. Give me just a second. I'll put it in the chat. It's a great question. I can't remember the URL, but I will post it right now. And LinkedIn is a great tool from an employer side. It has become the standard. So here's my LinkedIn. So as an employer, I look there for a bunch of reasons. I want to learn about the person, but I also want to see who they're connected to. And that means a lot. I generally, when I find somebody, like I had a meeting earlier today with a guy, I had 256 common connections. So obviously, we know a lot of the same people. That's super valuable. Um, I'm going to answer a few of these questions as we go through this. So thanks for the request, Anthony. Um, so how is AI changing entry-level jobs, eliminating them, redesigning them? I think it's having a massive impact and it's going to really change a lot over the next few years. What's happening is AI is enabling such levels of productivity that most employers are to looking to their existing staff to do more than ever before. And with that, they have reduced the number of new kind of students or new grads that they're hiring. And so the competitive landscape for new graduates is higher than ever. I'd say trying to get a job at Apple or Cisco or Yahoo or Google, I mean, it's pretty tough today. They're going to look and scrutinize people. They're going to pick the top 5%, top 10%, whatever they're looking at. So with that, in my mind, it's most important than ever that you differentiate yourself. So if I'm interviewing a candidate, I'm going to look for how well can you orchestrate AI? How well can you run the tools? How can you make yourself 10x more productive than anybody else? And if you can do that, then I'll hire you. And to some degree, that means being on the leading edge. If if I'm interviewing somebody and they aren't using Claude Code, I probably wouldn't hire them. Just pure and simple. Uh, Now, if they made a good argument on why they're using Codex, I would like that because now that shows me that they've tried both of them and they can make an argument for it. If somebody comes in and they know all about agents and they can talk about it intelligently, that piques my interest because now I think they're not just able to like code in Python, but now they're thinking about the future. So there's a lot of ways you can differentiate yourself by knowing things that are very much on the leading edge, again, depending on who you're interviewing with. See, other questions. Feel free to post other questions in. How many of you have done internships? I'm curious, have all of you done internships or have you done multiple internships? Is that pretty common? I'm assuming. Sorry, I can't. There's no raise to raise hands. You can raise your virtual hand. Um, Still looking for one. So one of the things that I think, Lacey, you and I talked about the makeup of this audience, and I think that the number of people that are graduating in the next 2 or 3 months was what, about a third?
Yeah, I think it was close to between 20 and 30%.
So those of you that are graduating in the next 30, let's say 60 to 90 days, will be looking for a job now. For the people that have a little bit more to go and aren't graduating immediately, if you're looking for an internship, definitely let me know. I may be able to help with companies that are looking for interns to help out. It's a great way to get experience. It's a great way to also work as part of a team. So I
Mhm.
I I don't think there's anything that replaces doing internships. It's just and we have interns that we use and we love it. It's just a great way to give you some experience.
Yeah.
Looks like several of you have done, and it's hard. So back to the question about getting companies to respond. Um, there's a couple of ways to do that. If you apply through your system, what was that system called again, Lacey? I forgot the name of it.
Currently, we're using Handshake. And then we're transitioning to 1220. So it's a huge recruiting platform for companies nationwide. But we also do suggest students to go to LinkedIn, Handshake, and even Indeed.com and different areas that have recruiting platforms.
I think I think those are great, and definitely highly recommend that you use those and apply as much as you can. I think in addition to that, there's some other things that you can do that are useful. I often enjoy when a UTD person reaches out to me. I don't enjoy when other people reach out to me. Texas A&M and M and others, I tend to not respond to those just because I have limited time. But for people that I'm an alum, so I care. And I think one of the things I would recommend to you is that if there is a hiring manager at Apple that went to UTD, of course, you should reach out to them on LinkedIn directly and try to connect with them or send them a message. You're more likely to get a response because you have a little bit of a connection. I think that's one relatively obvious thing to do. If you haven't already done it, and I would expect most of you have, but if you haven't built an agent to go out and identify all of the alum from UTD that are at companies that you want to work at and make a list for you, then you should do that. And that falls into the category of, again, a pretty obvious idea, but I would highly recommend that you do that and that you reach out to those alum and try to connect with them. Connecting with them will definitely help. And then you're not going through the traditional just apply and it goes into the HR department and maybe they or maybe they don't. Identifying the hiring managers is sometimes quite tricky, so it's not easy, but I think it's worth a try. Okay, other questions? Looking through here to see, did we answer all of them? I think we did.
I have a quick question. I think that, at least from my experience and working with the students so closely on a day-to-day basis, something I hear a lot is how do they articulate their skills in an interview, whether it be, teamwork or communication, some of the soft skills more than the technical skills, but maybe, students might also need some help answering technical questions as well.
Yeah, well, I think when you're in an interview setting, you want to balance talking about the things that you know versus the things that you're really, really good at. You may have learned a few things and you may know some things, but when you are in an interview setting, you definitely want to communicate the things that you are more proficient at so that the employer can know. And being pretty honest and direct is good. So when you're talking with them, if I ask somebody, hey, which programming languages do you know well? Generally, I'm going to follow that up with a coding test. So if they say they're really good at something, I'm going to find out. So it'd be better for them to be honest and not stretch the truth, if you will. So if you say you're really good at Python, well, then you better be really good at Python because that will be what comes next.
Yeah.
So I think being really honest about what you've done and what you have had a lot of experience at and what you would love to is absolutely key. Don't don't try to exaggerate too much. The honesty, I think from my point of view, what you want to do is build a connection. So to the degree that you can connect with the person and give them a feeling that you're a good, solid person. And
Mhm.
then on top of that, you have a set of skills. It's almost always that you have those two tasks. And if you tell them you have a bunch of skills and you don't connect with them, they probably won't hire you. If you connect with them and you don't have the skills, well, they probably won't hire you. So you need to
Mhm.
do both. And I think that's critical.
Yeah, great point. Okay, we did get a couple questions in. I don't have a Prime membership in LinkedIn, so how do I get connected with you? I guess
You should be
this
able to just sign up in LinkedIn. I think it's just free. You sign up and then just add, just try to connect with me.
just try to
You don't,
message or connect
you,
with.
you- well, yeah, you should just be able to do that since I sent you my LinkedIn profile, but somebody
Yeah.
try it and see if it works.
I think there
It-
was a
uh,
couple that said that they connected with you or they sent a request. Christina also has a question, how to get feedback after rejection so that we can improve from our next interview and know our weaknesses. That's a great
yeah,
question,
it's
Christina.
a,
I don't,
it's a great question. The employers won't tell you. I mean, they don't want to hurt your feelings, and it's so much easier to just not tell you.
yeah.
So the best way to get feedback is to interview with people like me or do it with Claude. I mean, you won't get feedback from employers. They're busy, they interview you and they're on to the next thing and they'll ghost you. I mean, you won't ever know what happened. So it's pretty hard. And so I would say use your trusted resources that will actually give you honest feedback. And I'm brutal. I'll just tell you what you do good and what you do bad because that's the only way you'll know. That's kind of the way I judge good friends. The good
Hmm.
friends will tell you the things that nobody else will tell you. And so that's
Yep.
what you want is practice with people that will actually tell you.
Yeah.
And by doing that, then you can improve. If you don't, you'll never know.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only experience that we've had is sometimes our employers, if they're alum or they're really close to the department in some way, they will, but it's very rare. Yeah, David's absolutely right. Um,
So I got a bunch of invites from you and I'm accepting those. So it definitely
oh,
works.
good.
So you should
Okay.
you should be able to just sign up and again,
Um,
that's just one. I mean, you want to build up more of these, but having people like me in your network helps. It definitely helps. So just go get like 10 more and then 10 more. It will look like, wow, you know a lot of people and you at least know one.
yeah. Okay, we have another student that says, "Hi, I'm Kevin, a CS freshman. What is the difference between using AI to ship faster and using it to just vibe code your entire portfolio? Is it fair to the company if you do not write the code, but still understand the technical decisions?"
Yeah, it's a great question. And Kevin, I appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of companies right now are basically saying we're not going to write any code. If you look at Uber, they went 100% no code. So everybody's using Claude Code to write all of it. And and more companies are doing that. And uh, I think it's a tricky thing, but I don't not only do I not hold it against people, but I expect them to not write any code unless they need to. And then they should explain why they should write the code. So it's already past that point. It's now at the point where you should be using Claude Code to write everything you can, and you should be able to navigate with those tools as effectively as possible. And it's not that we don't all love Python, right? It's nothing against the programming language. It's just that your ability to make Claude code do what you want it to do is more important than your ability to write Python code. So that's it. And so, you know, I wrote a really cool benchmarking app 2 days ago, and it's like doing a bunch of benchmarking between LLMs and some pretty cool neurosymbolic stuff. I didn't write any code. I mean, and I quite frankly didn't even care. I didn't even care what library it used for the user interface. I let Claude pick it, and we did it, and we iterated through it. And I've iterated through it now for a couple of days, just at night, little stuff here and there. And it's pretty cool. And I didn't even look at the code, much less in many cases, I don't even know where the files were stored.
No.
So this is where it's going. This is where the reality is. Now, again, if I'm hiring you and you say you know Python, I might test you on knowing Python, but more likely I would test you on building an app using Claude Code and probably another number of other libraries. I mean, so I think it's a great question. By the time you graduate, you won't be writing code. I mean, you
in,
won't be writing code
in
yourself. You'll
industry,
be
right?
writing it. Yeah, you'll be writing it through AI. And quite frankly, you won't even care what language it's written in by 3 years from now. Not at all.
Crazy.
What percentage of the code do you think right now is being written by Claude Code in the Bay Area, as an example? I'd say 80%. And that's only because it can't do the other 20%. And it will pretty soon. They're going to drop Opus 4.7 this month. And with that, I bet we'll get to 90%.
Interesting.
Let's
Uh,
see.
okay, the next one is from Young Mean. Is it common for interviewers to keep the camera off during an interview? I had one experience like this and found it uncomfortable, and I'm curious if others have encountered the same situation.
Yeah, it's totally weird.
Yeah.
That's not really respectful in one sense. So I don't think that's normal. If somebody's doing that, probably not going to hire you anyway. Uh, so I, there's nothing you can do about it. Be nice, play along with it, go with it. But no, it's pretty weird. Um,
Yeah.
and one question that comes up a lot is virtual background. So you notice this is my Palo Alto virtual background. I think it's good to have some kind of a background, or blur out your background and have your real background, but just blurred.
Hmm.
But pay attention to it. Don't make no choice. Make a choice. And I think having a virtual background is completely reasonable. Again, make sure it's professional. This is Stanford University, so that comes off as being reasonable. in your opinion, is the future of software engineering heading? Yeah, it's a great question. So where's software engineering heading? Well, I, I think they're going to need more of us than ever before, but it's going to be like Iron Man. Remember Iron Man? He's got the suit, they put him on and it makes him like a million times stronger and faster and everything. That's what it's going to be like. So I'm going to expect that you, given all of these tools, can be 100 times more productive than you could 2 years ago. And that's what it's going
Exactly.
to be like, is the expectation is going to be that, of course, you can do so much more. I mean, last night I was hacking and I had 5 windows open with 5 different agents all working on different things for me. And my job was to watch all of those and make sure they were all doing their jobs and then correct them when I needed to and you know answer their questions as needed. So in my mind, I'm managing a set of people. I call them people, but they're agents. That's what you should be doing. And if you're not doing that now, start doing that now because that's what is expected. And that's what software engineering is going to be like. It's not bad. It's really good. It's just like imagine you now have a team of 5 to 10 people and you can have them do everything. So it's amazing. It's like the best time in the world to be alive. It is going to make entry level jobs harder, but your job is to portray yourself as the circuit master. Like you know how to manage 5 or 10 agents. You know how to keep them going. You can be 10x. So think 10x. How can you be 10x productive? And if you can have 10 agents all working on things for you, and you can manage all of those going at the same time, and you can explain that to an employer, you can get a job.
Great point. Love that.
It's reality. That's the way it is.
Hmm.
If you don't have 5 co-work agents working right now for you, doing things to help you find a job, then you're not trying hard enough. I mean, let's face it. I mean, if you're doing it by yourself, that this relates to the software engineering side, right? If you're doing software by yourself, then no one's going to hire you.
Hmm.
If you're trying to find a job by yourself, no one's going to hire you. I would ask you. I mean, one of the people that I asked me for some help, and I said, okay, go get OpenClaw, go get a Mac Mini, put OpenClaw on it, go build an agent to go find you a job, and send messages out to employers saying, "This is my OpenClaw, sending you a note as a demonstration of what I can do." And
Wow,
that's a way to differentiate yourself, right? Because now it shows not only have you already built a solution using OpenClaw, but you reached out to them using an agent. Now that would be impressive, right? Now I'm sitting here going, okay, I would respond to that message. I'd be like, okay, let's talk.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's great advice, David.
Yeah,
Okay.
Claude Code is definitely it's not just my favorite. It's like it is the favorite for everybody. So Codex Codex is pretty good, but Claude Code is by far and away the standard right now. So if you're not using Claude Code, just start using Claude Code right now. It's amazing. Um yeah, like Gemini, I mean, I use all of them, but I've been using Gemini for a while and it just doesn't compare. Opus 4.6 and hopefully in a few weeks, Opus 4.7 is going to be ridiculously good. So I would use Claude Code, period. Um, let's see. Yeah. Yeah. The Mac Mini thing, it's actually, you can't, there's a long waiting list to get them. It's a couple of months. So, just don't put OpenClaw on your own device. But a Nemo Claw, if you haven't seen it already, again, you should be ahead of me on all of this. Like you should be digesting all of this. And again, if you don't have an agent that's actively digesting all AI news for you, then you would already know that last week Nemo Claw was announced. That's NVIDIA's wrapper around OpenClaw that creates a secure environment so you can deploy OpenClaw on an enterprise environment. So it's a container that is secure. So all of you should already know that. And again, I'm throwing these out as data points. Like if you don't know what I'm saying, you should. And if you're in an employer setting and you mention these things, you will seem like you're way ahead of everybody else. So I'm telling you these things because it matters. Uh, uh, you know, in California, the speed at which things are moving is very, very rapid. And for example, I had coffee with the lead person for the Nemo Claw architecture in the product. 2 days ago. And NemoClaw is going nuts because everybody wants to use OpenClaw, but they have to do it in a secure way. So these are things that as a student, you can take a little time, build an agent that will go out and digest all of this for you and educate you on what these are. And you could seem like a very powerful person walking into an interview. So that's what I would expect. If I interviewed somebody and they told me about NemoClaw, I would be impressed. I'd be like, okay, so you're not a person that's behind, you're ahead. So let's see. Yeah, the token consumption is obviously a big challenge. I don't know. It's a good point. There's a cost associated with doing all of this. So you're going to eat up a lot of tokens. So you just have to manage it. Use Sonnet 4.6 or use one of the cheaper models. Haiku. You can use that for stuff. I mean, use a cheaper model. It may not be quite as good, but it'll be good enough, and that would at least get your cost down on using tokens. Um, that's a tricky one. Okay, other questions?
I think we missed one. If you scroll up,
Yeah, I got so the
um,
industry's moving really fast, like MCP servers.
did you see the one from Emmy Tish? I think. Did we answer, or did you get a chance to answer that one? It says so the industry is moving really fast. Example, 6 months
Yeah,
ago, everyone was trying to
yeah.
build. And oh, you did already get that one. Okay.
No, no, no. I think that it's a good question. So like MCP servers now that's like the standard. Everybody's already implemented them. Um, I think the how do you differentiate yourself? Use the tools like 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 literally. If I'm using the tools and you don't know about them, then you're probably not going to get a job. So you need to at least try them and at least be playing with them. So all of these things I'm talking about, spend a couple of hours, try them, play with them, use them, and have an opinion, and that will help you. So I think it's moving so fast that you're going to have to do that like continuously because everything keeps advancing. Uh, but I think it's worth it, especially if you're going in to talk to a company. Now, if you're talking to a company that's a big company and maybe it's not in the West Coast, maybe they won't care about like OpenClaw. They may not even know what OpenClaw is. But if you talk to a company that's more on the leading edge, then of course they're going to know what it is. So I really feel like if you want a job in an exciting company like Apple, as an example, then you better be like all over everything. If you're talking to maybe AT&T, good company, but probably less advanced depending on who you're talking to, it probably won't be as big of a deal. You can probably just know the basics. So it depends a little bit on who you're targeting. A lot of the advantage you have on the West Coast is that they're hiring more people because they're growing so fast that even though they're getting productivity leaps, they're still having to hire thousands of people. So you're kind of getting this amplifying effect, which is good. Let's see, did I miss any?
Um, if you
Building your
go,
personal brand. Yeah, this is an interesting one.
they're actually building an agent to send them recent articles on AI, like
Yeah,
what you mentioned. But how would I go about using projects like these to help myself be more visible?
I think it's a great question. So I'm a big fan of building your own brand. So I think everything you do, everything you say, everything that other people can see about you helps to create your brand. And that might mean putting a good photo on your LinkedIn profile. That kind of establishes one view of you. And then the background, and then the formatting, and the projects you worked on. All of this makes a picture of you. And so building your brand is about creating an impression of you that other people have. And it's an interesting question, like who owns the Starbucks brand? Well, Starbucks doesn't own the Starbucks brand, right? It's us as consumers. We have an opinion about them, so we own their brand, right? It's they may have influenced how we feel about them, but we think of Starbucks a certain way. So their brand isn't owned by Starbucks, it's owned by us. Same thing for you. Your brand isn't owned by you, it's owned by all the people that see you and they have an opinion of you. So everything you do helps to create that. So what that means is that to create your brand, you have to get out there. You have to publish articles. You have to do things that then help people notice you and then have an opinion about you. And so that takes time and there's no magic to it. You have to write articles, you have to do interviews, you have to do projects, you have to talk to people, network with people. It's all of those things added together that really makes your brand. And that's one of the biggest challenges I feel like is you have to get out there. And being in school, you have a certain world. When you get outside of school, it's a different world. And so trying to begin to get out there as soon as possible makes a lot of sense. Like in in Palo Alto, if you go to there's a local coffee shop that's really popular and everybody goes there and people do deals there, or you just go there and sit down and you'll see and hear about all kinds of things as people walk around and you'll meet people. That's an experience. And so there's a certain amount of it you can do online, there's a certain amount you have to do in person, and all of that helps to create your brand. So it's a long-term investment of time and energy. So
Yeah. David, if you were to put a percentage on how much effort someone is putting online versus in person, what would you do? How would you weight that?
I think it's a great question. I think it depends a little bit on where you are. If obviously you do a lot online to be able to try to get the in-person things, but if you're in the Bay Area, as an example, every day there's 10 to 15 events. And so you have to literally spend a lot of time figuring out which ones you're going to go to because you can't go to them all. So like there was a really cool event at Google, so at DeepMind 2 days ago, and that was really cool because there was tons of entrepreneurs, investors, and it was a great way to network. And those happen, all the time. So getting invited to those isn't always easy. There's about 1,000 people went to that one,
Mhm.
and so that would be an example. But there's meetups like that, like nonstop. And so in the Bay Area, I would say do a lot of in person because
Mhm.
it's valuable, and then do a lot of online. If you don't have that level of activity, then you
Right.
obviously do more in online and then try to get more in-person activities. If you're in Dallas, I would encourage you, take a road trip, go to Palo Alto and spend a week and just hang out and get as many in-person activities as you can. It's great
Yeah.
to get exposed to those in person because there's nothing replacing them. So I would do road trips and pick your favorite city, but obviously I'm biased to the Bay Area. So,
Yeah.
but I think of those as investments of your
Yeah.
brand. Like you're going to go out and, you know, create some awareness.
Mhm. I think
Let's
Nathan has
see.
some more comments here.
Yeah. So is there a risk of aggressive AI hiring, bursting a bubble? Um, no, I think people don't have a good perspective right now on the actual impact AI is about to have. In my opinion, it's going to be so dramatic that people can't conceive of it. So it's going to be massive. uh, on a level that again, people right now, if you told them that, they wouldn't believe, it'd be like, you're crazy. And it's going to happen over the next, what's going to happen continuously over the next 3 to 5 years, and then 10 years, it's going to get more, but the next 3 years are going to be nuts. So my my guess is that this growth is going to go exponential. It's going to keep going and it won't slow down. So you won't be able to get enough people to do the things. Now, AI is going to help a lot, but there's still going to be a whole bunch of need. So it is going to be a game-changing environment, like earth-shattering. I don't know what other explosives I could use, but it's going to be big and it's going to be massive. Very, very significant change. So I don't think there's going to be a bubble as much as it's going to be extraordinary growth. And the question is going to be, what role do you play as part of that? One thing that I would say is think about getting a job, but also think about just starting a company. So as a completely different perspective, there's a new opportunity no one's ever thought about here, which is most people say, I'm just going to go get a job. Like that's the normal. But what's happened with AI is there's now a new opportunity for you to create a brand new company that solves a problem that before would never have made sense to solve. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you wanted to create a niche play. Like I want to go build a business for a Korean dry cleaning business. Now, normally you wouldn't think about that, but let's say that you said, well, how many Korean dry cleaners are there in the world? And could you build a business that generates $5 million in revenue and that's it, but is massively profitable? So you can actually build a proprietary like customer relationship management system for that kind of business and just solve that problem. And then you could build five of those. So you could literally build a set of companies that are small and together they generate a lot of money for you. And that's what's going to happen with AI. A lot of the big software systems in the past are going to be replaced by very specific exclusive solutions that are on a much more micro level. And so you could do that. So you don't think about finding a job as just being a big employer that wants to hire you, but you can go start a company. And that's going to be the biggest effect that AI has. There's going to be an entire new set of people that just create businesses to solve all kinds of problems that weren't possible to solve before. I know we're
Great
just about out
advice.
of time. So, yes, I
Yeah,
know this was a lot, but if there's things that come up after this, feel free to, again to connect with me, email me. I can't help everybody. I wish I could, but I do have a limited time, and my agents can only do so much work for me. So, but feel free to email me. I will do whatever I can do to help.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. It looks like there's some more questions coming through, but we're out of time today. Unless David, can you?
I can take a couple more, no problem.
Okay,
Let me just check, make sure
Tran. I think it
yeah, I'm
was
good for a
Tran.
minute. Okay. Yeah, you're using a Codex AI agent to design the structure of a robot. Like, I mean, Codex is good. I mean, Codex is not bad. But I do think robotics is a very exciting area for those that are in the mechanical engineering or the robotic side. Absolutely, just huge. I mean, what can I say? Robotics is absolutely going to crush for the next 10 years. So great area. Um, I
I
don't know.
saw
Was
you
there any other?
yummy.
Was there any other
Um,
question that I missed there? I'm sorry.
no,
I
I don't think so. I think that's all of it. This is the best AI webinar I've had at UT so far. Awesome! I love to
well,
hear that.
so I'm one of you. So again, I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart to help. All I want to do is help. And so if I can do things to help, if you have ideas, dazzle me, come up with things. I'm trying to rally a whole bunch of employers in the Bay Area to hire you. That's what I'm trying to do, to give you internships and to hire you. And I'm on a mission. I've tracked down all of the previous UTD grads that are in the Bay Area. I have a list, and I'm going through all of them and saying, I want you to hire our people right now. And I'm literally pushing. So you have an advocate here. I'm pushing, I'm trying to make it happen. Whether I can or can't, I don't know, but probably I can. I mean, I'm gonna do my best. So
That's
anyway,
awesome.
that's the
And in
goal
the
here.
coming
So
weeks, I'm gonna send out more communication, specifically to the folks that have come on here first and foremost, because I want to make sure that you guys have spots available, kind of first come, first serve, and then I'll open it up to the school. But yeah, we're gonna try to do a virtual networking event, whether it's 5 people or 20 people, it doesn't really matter. We just want some actual companies that are hiring for students, internships, full-time positions, really any of it. And we'll be reaching out shortly and trying to get you guys connected as best as possible. So, David, you're awesome. You've done such a great job today. We appreciate your time, your effort, your energy, and have a good rest of your day.
all right, thanks everybody. Hey,
Yeah.
go Comets. Cheers. Bye bye.
Yes, go comments. Bye bye.